Hey everybody, welcome back to Still Can't Cook. I'm your host, Kelley Fahey. You should know that by now. I'm super excited about today's show. I have my dear friend, the comedian Marshall Brandon on today's show. He's an incredible guy. If you don't know him, please check him out. He's got a great merch line called Comedy is Love. You can get it on marshallbrandon.com. He's a comedian, he's a writer, he's an all-around great guy. And don't forget to subscribe and review wherever you watch your podcast, please. Subscribe and review. And if you don't do it, that's terrible. Let's get to Marshall Brandon. Hi, Marshall.
Hey,
I want to welcome
Kelley.
you to Still Can't Cook. This is Marshall Brandon.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for being here.
It's so awesome to be here.
I'm very excited. So one of the things that we talk about on the show right off the bat is how we know each other. And so I know my version. So here's the crazy thing. I feel like I always knew you. I don't really have a I met you for the first time moment.
Mm-mm.
I do. I don't know what year, 2000 and 2018?
It would have either been
19?
I think it would have either been 19 or 20, but it could have been because we were around each other
That's the thing.
so many times before we actually got to like speak and say hello.
Yeah.
My name is Marshall. My name is Kelley. It could have been at one of the juke joints because I was at one of those.
Which one?
The one with T.I. And,
I was there.
Yeah, so
It was in New Orleans, correct?
No. I was in Ohio, in a barn in Ohio.
Oh, okay. I was at that one too.
Yeah, that was there, or it could have been like just during the pandemic when we were out there for the pandemic.
For listeners, a juke joint is a party that Dave Chappelle used to throw that he would have music and comedy and everyone all up on stage at the same time. So you'd have Fred Yonay and he and Fred really, I think, started. Fred was always there, which was just his birthday. Happy birthday, Fred.
Happy birthday, Fred.
It was recently, and by the time this comes out, he's already 70. Happy 70th. Okay, yeah, we probably met at one of the juke joints, but it was a party that David would throw around. He'd find these really remote spaces, and the craziest people would show up. But yeah, we probably did meet there. I just feel like I've always known you, and I've always known your partner. Lisa's a partner, his life partner. And I just felt like I didn't know. I was trying to come up with, because I have these moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. Right. But with you, I just felt we always.
We just kind of hung around each other until we knew each other. So it wasn't really like, I don't think there was like there's not a moment I could think of to where it was like, hey, like
right, an introduction moment, yeah.
No, it was just like we had been around each other. And then we're like, hey,
Well, you were always really snotty and didn't talk to anybody.
Oh, really? Is that what it was?
You know, like the nicest, kindest. It's like I was saying earlier, and I'm going to say it again because it's true. I said at one point, you are like a walking hug. You're just like the chillest, kindest.
Oh, thank you.
It's true. Well, we'll get into that. I'll talk more kindly about you in a little bit. But so one of my favorite moments with you, and I think was a life-changing moment, is that we were able to share the Eclipse together in Ohio. Yeah. Now, anyone listening, Ohio, where we were in Yellow Springs, Ohio, was the apex of the Eclipse.
Yeah, it was 100%.
So we did 3 minutes of blackness. And the crazy thing was the build-up, and I don't know your version of that, but what I remember vividly was when the bird stopped.
Yeah. I remember that, and I had my glasses on the whole time.
You and Lisa were on the blankets, just staring up.
We lay there and we watched it as soon as the eclipse started. We watched it all the way to 100%.
It's crazy.
And then it got like kind of eerie because it was like the birds
windy.
stopped, the wind, the temperature dropped really quickly, and for those few minutes that I got to take my glasses off and look at. Like, it was like the craziest.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
We were saying, recently I was talking to David, who's a mutual friend, Dave Chappelle, and he had said, like, he thinks it profoundly touched people, is what he thinks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because one of the things that we had as well is he had Beethoven playing in the background. Like, it was, so the intensity that we got to have, it was like all of a sudden. And you guys were, so we were all sitting on the field. Our friend Stacy has a pavilion in Yellow Springs, and we were kind of just all spread out, but checking on each other. Like, and I had Oliver there, and I have a crazy picture of Oliver right as it's changing too. Like, Matthew took a picture of the dog, and I just remember it getting chilly, and then I got scared. Yeah. I remember, like, for a brief second being like, oh, what the...
Yeah, it was a different feeling, because I've never witnessed an eclipse. So it's like, for it to like, and then the planet was like kind of like, then the moon was looking like kind of like gray, looked like you could see stuff in it or whatever. And it was just like, it seemed like things just froze for a moment. Like it was crazy.
It actually did freeze, except for the music. And what a musical! I mean, the music choice was incredible.
Right.
We had such a
very well curated.
Yeah, it was a really impactful day, and I think the people that were there, we were with a bunch of our core friends, and then there were happenstance new people there, and things have kind of taken off positively for people that were there. It's kind of strange. Something good happened. There was something good happening in that space, and I just remember sharing that with you guys, and it being like, you guys being there made it was really sweet to be there with you.
Yeah, Lisa had her glasses like 3 months early. Like, we didn't even know it was gonna be somewhere where we were gonna get the full eclipse.
Yeah.
And she was like, had all these lists of places like, they got them at the library.
I'm making it happen.
Yeah, but she had her glasses. She had glasses like when we got there. She had glasses. We got some more, but.
Yeah, they handed them out. I remember looking. Some people had good glasses. Some people, there was like bootleg glasses, and everyone wanted the good glasses, and people was like putting down glasses and stealing it. Yeah, that was a beautiful time. And then we just drank and ate and did all the stuff that we did, which should happen after an eclipse.
Right,
really.
You can't eclipse and then not get fucked up.
I mean, it's what happens.
Yeah.
Although I blame the eclipse. I was sober until that moment.
Oh, really?
I've been drinking heavy ever since.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna blame it on the moon, huh?
Yeah. So the eclipse was amazing and definitely a special time. And the thing I say about you, one of the reasons that I was really excited to have you on is because I know you, and I feel like I know you, but we don't know a lot about each other.
Right.
And you're someone who, like, again, I said it, you are very peaceful and very chill and always kind and always generous and so grateful. And you exude that. Like the minute you know, your comedy shows it, but you get off stage and you're even, it's almost like you're surprised at your own, how first of all, how fucking funny you are, but that like, you know, Taylor Swift is always shocked when she wins an award. You get off stage, you're like, really? I'm like, you kill, like anyone who, you always are like, I get so surprised at how talented and wonderful you are.
My life has been so surreal, it's like I really come from like the mud in comedy. Like I started doing comedy a lot of years ago. I didn't have any older, like when I first started, I didn't have any older comedians in Connecticut to guide me or tell me what to do or like to come off stage and get advice or something.
Right.
So it's like I just kind of like learned as I was going along, and then as I started coming to New York, I met other comedians and stuff. But and just to do it for this many years and like and see and then get to the place where I am now, it's like, you know, it's, to me, you gotta be like grateful that like to perform in the arena, to perform in like the theaters and to get to work with the best comedian in the world. It's like I'm like that feeling never goes away. Like I'm never
you
like
see it on
it's
you.
never
you see
normal
it. Yeah.
to me. It's like it's always so surreal, and I appreciate it so much that it's like, because it could not, I know what it could be like. It could not be like that at all. You know what I mean? So
how did you decide you wanted to be in comedy, and what was it like growing up there? Like what was the drive to do, because you started as a writer, comedy writing first.
Well, no.
I
started as a comedian.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I've loved comedy all my life. Like when I was young, my dad hit the megabucks for $50,000, right? And,
Jesus.
And we didn't get much. We just got carpet and cable and a TV. I don't know what he spent the rest of the money on. I know he got like 2 leather coats and 2 pairs of Bally's, but
oh my God, it's amazing.
Other than that, that's
was it wall-to-wall carpeting?
No, yeah, definitely was.
When it's a big time when you get the wall-to-wall. I had wall-to-wall too.
Yeah, so we got like they don't have big screen. They had the floor TV, floor model TVs. Wow. We got that. We got cable, and it was like, and I'm like maybe like 6 years old, but that's when I fell in love with comedy. Like I would watch comedy like over cartoons. So, and then like there was just different times in my life. Like even like when I was in the 8th grade, Eddie Murphy Raw came out, right? And my sister was going to movies with her boyfriend. She's older than me. And like they were walking out. My mom was like, "Hey, take your brother." And she got so mad. She's like, "Mom, I don't want to be in." She was like, "No, take your brother. You want to go to the movies? Take your brother." And as soon as I got in the car with her and her boyfriend, I'm like, "Look, I don't know what y'all trying to go do.
Right.
But if y'all get me tickets to go see Eddie Murphy Raw, then y'all could do whatever y'all want to do." You know what I mean? So they bought me tickets left me at the movie theater. And
you could get in to see that at your age?
They brought me in there.
And then they left you?
And then they left me, yeah.
Oh my God,
so I watched
amazing.
Eddie Murphy Raw by myself in the 8th
great.
grade.
That's one of the best of all time. That's fucking fantastic.
But it's like, then you fast forward to college. I was in college. I was criminal justice major. And I was planning on going to law school. And
you want to be a lawyer?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they had a contest for the students to do comedy. And so I entered the contest, and I came in 3rd place. But it was kind of like when you take a test that you didn't study for, and you're like, man, if I'd have studied a little bit, I'd have done good on this test. Right. So I prepared myself for the next time, and I won the contest. And then I was hosting this, like an Apollo show for the college. All the kids in the college, they would get booed off that they weren't good, and it was starting late. So I was like, well, let me go do some comedy. And so I went up and I did comedy, and all of like the students and the administrators were coming up to me after, and they were like, you can really do comedy. And so I just...
How old were you?
I was 21. And something a lot of people don't know is, and it was crazy because we were on tour in Minnesota. I didn't, like, all of the years I've been, that I've been around Dave, been around Donell, I did not think about this until me and Dave was on tour in Minnesota. He came to my college and performed, and afterwards I went up and I shook his hand. And I told him he did a great job, right? And it was so crazy because even just being around him, like we have been around each other plenty of times. It never occurred to me.
Never came up.
That he was the first comedian I met, like. And we talked about it, and then like 3 months later, he comes over. We're at the shack. He comes over. He's like, "Am I really the first comedian you met?" And I took him back through the story. He's like, "Yo, I remember that." And so it was. But that happened at school. So after I graduated, I just started doing comedy, and then I had my first child. My first child's mother was pregnant as I was exiting college. So that plus me wanting to do comedy, I was like, forget about law school. I want to do this.
And that must have went over well with your family.
Yeah, it was. Are
they talking to you yet?
It was not the most popular decision. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but after a while, everybody came on board. Like after a few years, everybody was on board with me doing comedy. After I got on TV the first time. So.
And what was your first time on TV?
Comic View. I did that, and I was 4 years into doing comedy, so that would have been like 2002. I got on Comic View Caliente.
Okay.
And I remember I was over at one of my friend's house, and I used to just go over there because it was like I was doing comedy, but it was like I would just go smoke weed at my friend's house every day and just chill and go to a show at night or something like that. And my mom called me, and she was like, "Oh my God." And they call me Junior because I'm a junior. And she was like, "Junior, BET just called my house. BET just called my house." And they're like,
"Oh my God." And
so she gave me the number to call them back. And the lady was like, "Oh my God." She was like, "Marshall, you are very funny." She was like, she's like, "We sit up in here and we, it's like we have to watch these shows." And we're like, okay. She's like, "You actually had us laughing in here." She's like, "We took your tape to different apartments." She said, we only got one spot left on the show and hope you could do it. And I'm like, well, whatever else was going on in my life was going to get canceled. So it's like,
of course I can do it.
Right. I'm like, I'm not missing that.
That's a comedian. That's a dedicated comic.
Yeah. Like all these like different things happen. Like I can always look back over my whole career and like it just be like things that happened, like remember the first time, and then I came home, they didn't show it for like 9 or 10 months because of the, just where it was in the lineup.
And there was no updating you like there is now. It wasn't like a regular update on your phone. You couldn't text and find out when it was coming out, right? I mean, there was cell phones. We had cell phones, but it wasn't as constant communication.
No, it wasn't. They weren't online like they are.
In my head, we just jumped back to the 80s for some reason. Sorry. Right. I was like, there was no TV. We were in horses.
Right. And so, like, I would go to people's houses, like my friends' houses, and people would start wondering like why it wasn't coming on TV, but it was like airing in September. It was like January or something where, like at this time, when I'm waiting and, I leave my friend's house and their parents like, I don't know why that boy telling people he gonna be on TV. He know good and well he ain't gonna be on TV. So But
it's the longest pickup line. 6 months later, like, I swear to God.
Right, exactly. And that's how it was. Because people, I mean, everybody was kind of like, well, maybe they cut his part out, you know?
Which happens, by the way.
Yeah. And I had a great set, so I couldn't wait for it to, you know.
Were you working in the meantime?
At this time,
stand-up? Were you doing stand-up at the same time?
Oh yeah, I was doing stand-up.
And were you stand-up in Connecticut? Like, were you?
I was doing stand-up comedy in Connecticut. I just didn't know anything about comedy when I started. I just knew that I could get up there, like, long as I prepared myself, I could get up there and be funny. You know what I mean? I was just doing comedy in Connecticut, and it was weird because Connecticut is like really, you know, it has its hoods. So I was like, I'll go perform in the hood, and then I'll go perform at like the Italian American club or the Polish American club where I'm the only black person there, which kind of helped me because I learned how to just be funny for people. You know what I mean?
You are funny for people, by the way.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I wasn't sure if, like, how many clubs there could possibly be in Connecticut.
No, I mean, right now it's like 3. You know what I mean?
Yes, then there was 2. So you went from back to back.
These are all shows in bars and clubs and halls.
And then so based on, so you did write for a while.
Yeah.
While you were still doing stand-up. But you like wrote for 2 shows?
Yeah, I wrote for a show called Comedy Knockout, and I wrote for a show called Laugh Tracks. Okay. Now on Comedy Knockout, there's a comedian, Damian Lemon, who's a good friend of mine. And he called me up out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, Marshall," he's like, "Yo, look, I got this little show." I'm like, "Bro, chill. You got, you know what I mean? You're on True TV. There's nothing little about anybody with a television show, period." And so he's like, "Yo," but they asked me if I was interested in anybody writing on the show. He's like, "Yo, I always liked your comedy, your stand-up." He said, "So I was gonna," he said, "they're gonna, let you come in and write a little bit." So I show up, and they hired me for 2 days, and I wrote. The first day I didn't even have my laptop with me, and I had a laptop. I just didn't bring. I'm not like thinking that I'll be typing. And so I came with like my notebook,
pen and paper.
Yeah. And so they printed out all of the stuff for me, and I just wrote on that. And then they were like, but then they looked over my stuff, and they was like, "Well, we want to have you back in for another 2 days." So I did that, and there's like a middle part to this because in that process, like I went and did that. It was cool. In that process, I was talking to Bob Sumner, who had just started putting out these videos where he was like, they were reenacting a comedian's joke. And so we were talking one night because he produces a show down in South Jersey that I've been hosting for like 10 years for him. And we were talking one night, and I was like, "Bob," I said, "Yo, you should show the comedians too. You're just showing a reenactment, but you should cut to the comedians because these videos are going viral, but then nobody's even seeing the comedian. They hear their voice, but they don't even get to see their picture." So, and then he looked at me. He's like, "Yo, that's a TV show." He got on the phone with his people, his connects out in LA and everything, and he was like, "Yo, this is what we're gonna do for the show." So they developed the show. So he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna have you write on the show." He's like, and so I'm waiting to get for the part to come up. They had me come out to write on the pilot. I wrote on the pilot, and then when the season started, it got picked up. I'm not hearing anything from anybody, so I start calling around, like, and then it turned into like, "Oh, well, and it turned into like, well, let's just get you out here, and everybody out here is wearing different hats and stuff like that." But where I was at, and for what it was kind of like what they said it was going to be, it wasn't a writing job I would be going out there for. It would just be me out there just doing any and everything I could.
Like a PA? Right.
Which like if I could have afforded to do that, it was, it still would have been like a good opportunity. Yeah. And like to be in LA working on any set is cool. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I did. And I was kind of down about it. I was driving. I was like, man, I need a writing job. Boom, my phone rings. It's the showrunner from...
Artie's not wrong. Just pay attention. I'm going to hang out with you more.
It's the showrunner for Comedy Knockout, who I wrote those 4 days for. And he's like, "Hey, Marshall, we really like the stuff you did. We want to bring you on full time for this season."
Amazing.
And everything like that. And so I wrote. And that was like my first time actually like in the writer's room, and sitting with 8 to 10 other writers in a round circle typing all day for, you know.
A writer's fucking nightmare, you mean?
Right, yeah.
You're like, somebody give me a microphone and give me the fuck out of the table.
Exactly, because and it was cool. It was okay, but it felt like work to me. Like, you know, like it didn't feel like comedy. Never feels like work. Comedy is like, I'm going to go up here, tell these jokes, even if I got to sit down and work on some other stuff. It just still feels like you get that payoff. But writing, it was cool. The money was good, but I was like, I should be writing my own shit.
Yeah, I wonder that would be the conflict, I imagine. Knowing something's killing it and fucking handing it over to somebody else's top. I think that would be very difficult. I have a lot of friends who do both. What makes a good comedy writer, like I know, but is when you're writing for someone else. Yeah. So you don't see yourself telling that joke or doing the bit or whatever, right? Am I right? So because when you're writing something that lands really funny for you, then you're like, I'm going to keep that to my group, and you guys take that part.
Right.
I know that has to happen because again, a lot of our friends who are comedians do write for, comics write for one another. People who don't know, a lot of comedians do write jokes for other comedians, and it's just what they do. Not all comedians take other people's jokes. They only do their own material. And that's a different thing. But there are some comics who can write for other people.
I've done that for like some seasons of Wildin' Out and stuff like that, where like my name would never show up on anything that has to do with Wildin' Out. But my words will.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe from you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
And there are times where like coming up, like if I was to get an opportunity to write on something, I would call a couple of my comedy friends and who I trust, who I knew were funny, and so we would all try to write on that opportunity, because if it gets me in the door, then it's gonna, that was just for like little miscellaneous things that would pop up. But as far as like my writing job, that was all just me just writing.
This episode of Still Can't Cook is brought to you by BetterHelp. The sun is out, the birds are chirping, and apparently that means you're supposed to be thriving. Yeah, no pressure, right? Everything's blooming, the days are longer, your friends are all doing sunset Pilates. Meanwhile, you're like, I'm just trying not to spiral today. Just because the season is changing does not mean that everything in your life magically gets easier. In fact, sometimes spring brings more pressure. To feel good, to do more, to be more. And that's why Mental Health Awareness Month is such a great reminder. Taking care of your mental health is not seasonal, it's essential. Whether you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just want someone to talk to, therapy can always help. BetterHelp has been connecting people to licensed therapists for over 10 years, with a network of over 30,000 providers. It's all online, designed to fit into your life. You can do your sessions on the phone, video, or even just on chat. And if your first therapist just doesn't feel like the right fit, you can switch at any time with no extra cost. So if spring feels like pressure instead of peace, just know that help is there. We're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/cook. Now let's get back to the show.
I worked that writing job at Comedy Knockout. It got picked up for, it was like an A and B season. So I wrote all the way through that. And then after that was done, they had filmed the first season of Laugh Tracks too. And so now they were going into filming the second season, and so they was gonna hire some writers. And so I'm like, okay. And so they're like, okay, we're gonna hire you and everything like that. And then when it came down to it, it was like, oh, well, the showrunner is gonna be in New York, and he wants to interview, the people that he's looking to hire. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I thought I was gonna get the job, but I'm like, okay, cool. So I talked to the showrunner. I'm up in upstate New York with Donell on touring with Donell, and he's like, yo, I gotta, he's like, I'm in New York for another day. I got a flight to catch Sunday at this time, and I'm like, yo, I can make it. So I got a really early Sunday morning, drove 4 hours down, and he was like, we could go to this diner or something. Like, he's like, I got us a table at this diner or whatever, and I'm driving around and I'm trying to park, and I'm like, yo, I said, well, what time is your flight? And he's like, he tells me what time, and I'm like, so how about I just give you a ride to the airport and we talk on the way to the airport? He's like, no, I don't want to take you out your way. I'm like, bro, I'm going back to Connecticut. It's no problem at all. He gets in the car, I'm driving him back to the airport, and I'm looking at his name. His name is Eric Abrams, right? And I'm like, I know this name from somewhere. Come to find out, he was like a manager at an improv in Coconut Grove, that I worked a lot of years back. So I asked him about that. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we worked together already. You know what I mean? Because we had a couple conversations back then. And then I mentioned to him that I wrote on the pilot for the show, and he was like, he didn't know any of this, and so I got that job.
But I mean, when one of the things about, especially good comedians, it's always about comedy. It's always about you getting back on stage. So that was just in between paying the bills while you're waiting for your...
Exactly.
So you touched on it, and I want to go back. But he said Donell, and just for people who listen, that's Donell Rawlings, a comedian, comic, friend of ours. If you don't know, you should.
Yeah.
But how did you end up meeting Donell?
Yeah, I met Donell back in it would have been the early 2000s.
Okay.
And when I first started coming to New York, there was a comedian named Brooklyn Mike. I met him in Boston, and he was like, "Yo, if you ever want to come to New York and everything like that, just call me." So I was like, "Well, I'm gonna call him." And so I started going out hanging in New York with him, and he was really good friends with Donell. At one point, they were roommates and stuff like that.
I probably know him.
Yeah, he's actually 40.
Yeah, of course.
He's 40's first cousin.
Then I know him. Yeah.
Mike is, and so Mike introduced me to Donell. Donell was hosting a club called Footprints at the time, and Donell, he was like, "Yo, son, you cool with Mike? You good with me?" You know what I mean? And so
very good impression, by the way. That's very good. It's very good.
I spent a lot of time around him.
It's a little scary.
And so but I used to. So now that was someplace I knew I could go. I believe they used to do it on a Tuesday, but it was a really tough West Indian room, West Indian crowd. It's not like they really came to laugh. It was like, make me laugh. and so
that's very funny.
Yeah.
That's a totally different crowd. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Not West Indian, I'm just saying there is those crowds that are there to laugh, and other ones are like, make me laugh.
Yeah.
And as a comic, that's gotta, you read the room.
And Donell used to go down the line. There'd be like 5 or 6 of us comedians. He'd be like, "You going on, son?" And they'd be like, "No, you going on? You going on?" And anytime you ask me if I'm always gonna go on stage if I get the opportunity. I think he kind of thought that was cool. And then him and Mike went to Barbados to do shows, and we performed on an island out there. And then that's where we kind of hung around each other. And so coming back, Mike was like, "Yo, Donell said you cool, yo," and so we would just do dates over the years. We just end up on shows together. And then probably 2014 or 15, I had the opportunity. I talked to Jason, who was booking for him and stuff like that. I talked to Jason, and Jason was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go on this weekend." So I'm going on a weekend with Donell. We eat lunch. He always big with the food and stuff like that.
He's a chef.
Right. And we at some restaurant eating this feast because he done ordered everything on the menu. And he like, "Yo, son, just look at my calendar and whatever shows you want to do, just get on it."
That's a comedian's dream. I mean, this is for anyone who doesn't know, again, Donell Rawlings, to have that level of comedy, to be come whenever you want.
Yeah, he just look at my calendar and do whatever dates you want. So
this is a lot of God stuff with you, huh? Yeah. You just get these that doesn't happen.
None of this stuff is.
This doesn't happen.
None of it
Donnell's not very nice to most people. Just kidding.
But he does have for comedians some comedians. Some comedians.
We love you, Donell.
And we had known each other over the years. There'd be me coming from Connecticut when I wasn't living in New York. I remember a time, and I think this is probably when he first got on the Chappelle show. And I had to go to court, but I had a show later. But I didn't have nothing to, court is in the morning, my show is at night. I didn't have nothing to do in the in-between. So I was and I was nervous about it because I knew him, but I didn't so I hit him up and I'm like, "Yo," I said, "Yo, Donell, I got court." First I was like, "Yo, what you doing?" He was like, "Yo, just sitting back here, you know what I'm saying, watching this 65-inch plaza, feeling like what it feel like, plasma, feeling like what it feel like to be blowing up and shit." That's and I'm like, "Yo," and I just told him I got court. He "Yeah, come through." And so it's we stayed cool over the years and stuff like that. But when he took me on the road, it was just just changed everything.
Yeah. He's he's just a fun person in general, but he's a really good comic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the crossover so how did you end up, because you now, when you open for Chappelle a lot, How did the crossover happen? How did you end up? Because the re-intro, because you had met David.
Yeah, but years. Like when I met him, like me and Donell was on the road like 2016.
Okay,
we were out in Ohio, and so he's like, so one night he was like, yo, he was like, change your flight. We going home. We not going home Sunday. But we had came out here twice, and that's why I actually, I got to meet Dave through Donell, and it was like, and now I'm a comedian. You know what I mean? Before I was a college student. Now I'm a comedian. I'm like, holy shit, this is like I'm getting to be, because we was in Ohio, and Donell was like, and it was that was crazy to me, and I'm like, man, I'm getting to meet Dave Chappelle and shit, like really as a comedian. We came out here for those 2 days. The second day, the second time we came, he was like, yo, change your ticket to Monday. We're not gonna go home on Sunday. And so I'm like, man. So then we ended up like going to Dave's house and eating dinner and everything. And that was like the craziest thing in the world. Like, and so I was just like, and even there, I was just like, oh shit, you know what I mean? I was just happy to be there.
Did you get up that night?
No, hell no. I wasn't like nowhere close to like, I wasn't even like, it wasn't even a thought.
Okay, so you were there as a friend just hanging out.
Right. That was the first day I met Jake. He was running security and everything like that. And so still on the road with Donell for the next few years. I go on the internet. We're in the pandemic now. I go on the internet. I see Donell sitting on a canoe, and I never seen this dude look so peaceful. It's like the most peaceful look ever. And then a mutual friend of ours, of me and Donell's, calls us. She's like, why aren't you out in Ohio? I was like, well, I didn't, Donell didn't say that. She was like, no, it's just something you just hit him up. You just need to just go. You need to go out there. So I call him like, yo, Donell, I got my flight, got my hotel. I was wondering if I could pull up to the shows y'all doing out there. He like, hell yeah, pull up. So I got Lisa's booking my ticket and everything. And then I had been to Yellow Springs because I went in 2016 with Donell. And, Lisa's all earthy and crystallized and stuff.
Lisa is in the background. We keep pointing to things around the apartment. Right. Lisa's sitting there quietly. They're both very earthy. And, I mean, she's a bit more...
she's a bit more grounded.
A little bit grounded, yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, Yellow Springs.
She's going to love Yellow Springs.
Right. Yeah. So I said, look.
Tree hugger.
Yeah. I said, exactly.
Yeah.
I said, yo, just let's not book the ticket. Let's just rent a car and drive out there. So we drive out, we get there, stay for the weekend. I'm getting ready to leave. Donell's like, yo, don't leave, son. I pay for your hotel. So he pays for the hotel at the Mills, right? And then
the Mills Park. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So now the next night, I'm getting ready to leave, and he's like, yo, no, son, don't leave. I pay for your hotel. I said, yo, look. I said, give me the money. Because I could go out to Springfield and stay in this Motel 6 for 3 days and be here for another 3 days instead of just this once.
Right.
So we go out to Springfield. We're staying in a motel, and then like 2 days in, like over those 4 or 5 days, like I probably like it was just like the craziest experience.
Yeah.
To be out in that cornfield watching the shows. I was like, why leave? I was like, we could...
Everybody thought the same thing.
Yeah.
So we just got to give a little background here. So during the pandemic in Yellow Springs, Ohio, Dave decided to put on shows, outside shows in the pavilion, and a bunch of comedians and musicians and people who literally lived to work, who were going crazy without being able to work, were able to go to Ohio with... people were 6 feet away from each other in the audience. Everyone had to wear masks. They were tested regularly, but everyone was there, and everyone.
First of all, it was like I was Donell's guest out there. I wasn't, brought out there to perform or anything like that. And then it's like I'm getting to watch this master class being taught.
Everybody was there
every night, and it's like when you get to see Dave go up, 5 times during the night and then still close the night out and just watch how he like works and stuff and getting to see that, it's like
you literally watched and learned and appreciated everything you were seeing. But we had Jon Stewart, Dave Chappelle,
Trevor
Donell,
Noah.
Bob Saget.
Everybody.
Michelle Wolf. You had brilliant. Then the musicians. You had Erykah Badu come in. You had, I think Haddish was there, right? Didn't Tiffany do?
Tiffany
Haddish
was there.
was there.
Yeah, she was there. Common.
Common. It was. I wasn't there. I was in Bora Bora, which was the ongoing joke. They were calling me Bora Boring. Poor me. I was suffocating there, but hiding out, waiting for COVID to pass. But we would call and everyone, we'd FaceTime and constantly know what was going on. But I saw what was going on. I'm like, this is magic. Right. But from your point of view, you took it as Mo Amir. Forgot about Mo.
Yeah, Mo
but taking it as a learning experience.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
It ain't. You got like when you really look at certain things, and then when you get to be a part of something of that magnitude and in any degree, it's like you can't be thinking about like it's all about me. Like I need to be performing. Like if I'm looking up and Bob Saget is coming out and Kevin Hart and all these really, really high caliber, like status wise, high caliber comedians and stuff like that, I can't look at myself and say that like somebody needs to be thinking about me. You know what I mean? And so, and for what was going on there, I felt like my time would be better served not worrying about, like, if I'm going to perform, I'm going to perform. That's going to, I was like, if I'm meant to perform, I'll perform. But there was a whole bunch of stuff going on around there that you could lend, that if you there, you could lend yourself to that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I just focused on supporting, because I thought it was dope, because I'm looking around the world, and I'm like, nobody else has created a community for mm-hmm. people to live with, with some sense of normal. Mm-hmm.
And the whole town made money. Stores that were empty got full. Mm-hmm. Restaurants got full. Hotels got full. Yeah, it definitely kept Yellow Springs with traffic coming in and very safe. Everybody was, again, tested, masks. Yeah. What was it called again? Social distancing. Mm-hmm. So basically, when you got home every night back at the hotel, you stood on a soapbox at the end of the bed for Lisa, and she had to listen to your sets. This is what I would have done tonight.
Right. Basically, yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's
I swear. Shh. Don't put the TV on. That's what I've.
Let's go gather up some homeless people, make a crowd. But you
guys can sit close.
Right? Yeah, you guys already got it. Just
don't you don't got close. That. You got worse. Just kidding. Unhomed.
Yeah,
unhomed.
People of outside. I'm just trying to make it sound.
That I could do.
Right.
People of outside works better than the unhomed or unhoused. That's just feeling way too. Like, I don't know, like it was a choice.
Right. That's very true.
That's why I'm an apartment.
Right.
That's why I'm unownership. What am I? Unpurchased? I don't know. I don't own a home. I don't know what my word is.
You're under a roof. That's what you are.
I'm not just broke. I'm
You're under a roof.
I want to know when you got on stage. How did this happen?
So stay there for those 3 months. They had a big outbreak. So after the big outbreak, we stayed for another week and tested. Then we go home. And so now we're at home, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe we just did that. Mm-hmm. And I get a call from Donell. Hey, yo, son, we about to go to Texas. I think you should pull up. So I booked me and Lisa plane tickets to go to Texas. We go over to the main hotel, and Cena, the tour manager, Cena's like, all right, and by now, like, I know everybody. Right. So it's like, cause we've been around each other for the last 3 months. So Cena's like, hey, we're gonna bring you guys over here. We want to keep our bubble together and everything like that. So okay,
you got
cool.
part of the bubble,
right? So it was like, all right, cool, and a way better hotel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Better bubble.
With a view. So,
the bigger bubble.
Exactly. So we go. So the next day I see Will and Syph, and I'm like, yo, what up, y'all? And they're like, oh, we got a quarantine for 3 days because they went to do a podcast. And
that's right. I know this whole story. I wasn't there, but I got all the backstory.
Yeah, he popped up positive for COVID, so they had to quarantine. So Donell was like, hey, yo, let Marshall open the show.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, he's like, yo, he flew himself out here. Let him work. And so I get a call. The show's at 7. I get a call at 6 o'clock. Yo, son, get down there early. You probably gonna open up the show tonight.
No pressure at all.
Right. I start scrambling, right? And I've been doing comedy a lot of years, and that was the first time that new.
You had been off stage for a significant amount of time.
Oh yeah, I had been off stage for a long time, but then it was like this energy came over to me that I haven't felt in so many years, because it was the same energy of like my first, second time on stage, my third time when I had no idea what I was doing, when I didn't know what was gonna happen, and so I jumped in the shower, and I'm telling Lisa I could like really just, I was like frantic, you know what I mean? Jumped in the shower, like we got ready, we ran outside, I sped down to the venue.
Now, can I ask one question? Was Lisa frantic? Because I would have loved to see that.
No, she's
still not.
She just,
peace and love.
She's like, like,
let's hug a tree.
Breathe, man.
Love and light.
It's kind of, she does it. She lays her hand on my heart, and I'm like, I gotta like keep myself from passing out and shit. Like,
I literally feel like when I see her in a room, like, hi. It's always like, okay, everything's cool, everything's settled. She's here. Sorry, go ahead. So you're all excited. She's chilling, calm, and knowing it's gonna be perfect.
Pull down there. I park the car. I get out. I look at the sign. It say no parking. I'm like, shit. I jump back in the car. I drive down the street. I park. I go to pay the meter. I don't have my wallet.
I'm dead.
And then I'm like, wait, did I leave my wallet at the hotel? And then I'm like, I couldn't have left my wallet at the hotel because I needed my wallet to get out of the parking garage at the hotel. So I jump back in the car. I drive up the street. My wallet's laying there in the middle of the road, untouched. I jump out, and this place is crawling with homeless people. Like it was like camps set up all over the place. Grabbed my wallet, went down, parked. I went out and I performed. And this doesn't always happen when you do comedy, but there was a line that came to me after I was telling a joke, and it was just a line that came to me, and the line cracked the audience like really hard, and I was like, oh shit, like. But it was like, even when I, like, just from when I came out, it was like I had a good set. I had a good set, and I was just numb when I came off stage, and so I cried in the car. Actually,
Did you really?
Because I couldn't feel anything. I was just numb, and I couldn't like, it was just like, and then from being around, and then knowing like. Just even being able to be like, damn, I get to be in the picture. You know what I mean? Like, so at the end of the show.
There's a picture at the end of the show at every show.
Yeah.
And Matthew Bitton is the photographer. And so all the comics stand on stage at the end of the set and the DJ. And at the end of the show, and they take a group photo. And you got to be, that was your first group photo.
My first, it was Joe, it was Dave, Michelle, Mo, Michelle with Mo Ammer, Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Donell Rollins. So it was like
you had to cry.
Yeah, it was like, because I just couldn't, like, when we got in the car, I just was like, I didn't break down like, you know what I mean? Like, but yes, it was like, I had, a couple tears.
There was,
I was about to, and at least it touched my chest again and just calmed me the fuck out.
I think we should sell the touch, I swear. Her hugs, it's weird. I was weird in a very good way, weird for lack of a better word, but I was telling Deanna, my producer, before, I was like, you don't understand. Wait till you meet them. Wait, it's like, this really, everything just feels very calm and cool, and
she helps with that a lot.
Well, clearly she does. Yeah. Yes. There's a lot of yes. So that's how the transition happened, where you started working it with the group.
Yeah, that's when I started. That was like my first show, and then we went back to Ohio at some point. And then it was like I got to work those shows, and then it was like, I just started getting to I remember when Dave did the closer, that was like probably the first time they really hit me up, like that Cena hit me up, like, in my email and everything like that. So it was and then and it just kind of kept going from there, you know what I mean, and it just grew into getting on the world tour and getting to go to Australia and getting, and doing all like this super cool shit with Dave. Like,
first of all, that story is way cooler than I thought it was going to be. When I wrote my questions down about the transition, that's a much fucking fun. Mine was much more boring in my head, but I didn't see, again, because I missed the whole summer camp thing. I didn't know who went up when or what did I do know that a lot of the comics that learned a shit ton from that and went on to do amazing things. Everybody's working and fantastic, but I did miss that. So I was waiting for the time when you and then I got up I didn't know you never got up.
No, I never got up. No.
Yeah. But it's even better that you got up and that Cypher and Will got sick. Because that was like a big deal. They left the bubble. They went and did the podcast outside of the bubble. Yeah. So the world hadn't opened up yet. It was like semi-open.
No, it was headed towards that, but it wasn't. It wasn't like we still was like.
That really was nuts.
And they were testing. They was still testing everybody, and they tested for a long time after that. So it was definitely like we were still in the midst of it.
Yeah.
Because summer camp ended because of the outbreak.
Clearly, in all of these moments and all these fantastic spots you've been like, have you had a moment where you're like is it every? But we already answered the question. Everything's a pinch yourself moment. Everything at this point.
Everything is, and they are. But all of the moments are like they are pinch yourself moments while they're happening. Being a comedian, most of your moments are fleeting though. So it's like I sometimes have to if I'm off for 3 days, I gotta remind myself, or at least will remind me of something I crazy, and I'll be like, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, every moment has been. But there have been, getting to perform on the Apollo stage in Harlem was big. Getting to do Radio City Music Hall was
amazing.
And there's so many other moments that are that I'm like, yo, I can't. I in Canton at the Hall of Fame Stadium. You know what I mean? Not even thinking that we were there the weekend that players were getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? From the NFL. It's just doing stuff like that is
stadiums, I imagine, must be for any comedian, for any musician, for any performer, going from a club, which has its own really exciting, you get into the right club and with the right crew, the right crowd who wants to laugh. You don't have to make that's an incredible energy for a comic and getting that applause. But a fucking stadium where you're boom, boom, especially with the music that he brings in, and that's got to be just.
Oh yeah.
Do you get scared?
I think that you should always still have a bit of nervousness. No, I'm not scared, but you should always there's always gonna be a bit of nervousness there. I do get depending traveling when we were in Abu Dhabi last year, I'm and I go to even Paris. It's when you go to a foreign country, it's are these people gonna get my humor?
Right.
And they usually, and they know, they speak English and they know what, even if it's a second language or whatever, they know what. And I'm not talking about something. I'm not talking about something culture specific.
Right,
I'm talking
right,
about
right.
life, relationships.
Which sometimes I was just going to say. Imagine that there's when you have a joke, like you said something that one line you came up with while you were on stage, and it killed and cracked the audience for you. That same line might not work if it worked in New York. What's weird is that it might not work in California. And that's what's hard for. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine.
It's definitely You definitely see a difference with certain things, but as a comedian, you want to try to craft your jokes to where they work, where they will work. You want to refine them to the point to where you're I can tell anybody this joke, and they're gonna see the humor in it.
But then I imagine when you're on stage, especially when you're doing as much work and traveling around, that you have a toolbox of stuff. You go, okay, this is what I'm going to use this time. You have where you're going. You start and you have that landing spot, I guess. And then there's what you pick in the middle is
exactly
audience appropriate. And you don't do audience work, right? You're not big on that.
Doing the shows I've been doing recently, there's no need for it. And I'm not I've never been a crowd work comedian. I've hosted a lot of shows. I've always kept a show kept the show that I produce and host to book other comics on. So in doing those, you're gonna come and you're gonna do crowd work. But I'm about my material, and then there's no real need for me to come out and talk to the crowd on these type of shows.
I'm still, as many comedians as I know, it's still new for me to talk to different comics and understand the process. Everyone has their own. Do you have a process before you get on stage? Do you have something you do every time before you get on stage, or no?
Little prayer.
You do
nothing,
prayer?
Not a long one. I just shout out. I shout out my mom, my daughter, my niece, and people close to me that have passed. I always imagine them being there, watching.
So you do a little prayer to them?
Yeah, just a prayer to them, but I don't have a routine or sometimes I'll stretch out these muscles right here. I'll be ugh. But that is nothing. I don't have anything.
You do it just like that? You make those noises?
Sometimes.
That's what that noise is. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Don't go commercials.
Yeah, you always hear the back.
You never know. I thought you were pooping. I don't know what was going on.
No, just stretching.
Okay.
I'll poop after I come home.
See, there's a before and there's an after. No, we're touching, I was going to, you have had a lot of loss, and you tapped into it. I wasn't going to bring up anything you don't want to talk about, but you lost your daughter.
Yeah, I lost my daughter. That was August 5th, 2016. I lost her. She suffocated in the bed with her mom while her mom was there in the bed together, and she suffocated.
How old was your daughter?
7 months. She was supposed to be in the crib. She wasn't in the crib, so I woke her mother up, and I was like, "Where's my daughter?" And she jumps up and she's like, "Oh, maybe my mother has her," because we were renting a basement apartment. So she runs upstairs. She comes back down like, "My mother doesn't have her." I look down. I see her feet sticking out of it. She's like tangled up in a blanket. So I untangle her, and like at first I'm just thinking that she is like right there. So I'm thinking she's okay. So I untangle her, but then the way her body felt, I was like, "Oh!" So I start trying to give her like CPR, and then everybody panic, go crazy, call an ambulance. A lady came in and was giving her CPR. I'm praying, and then we went to the hospital. And
my God, I'm really sorry. I didn't.
It was like the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life.
Imagine.
Luckily I have my cousin who's like, he's more like an older brother to me. He's about 6 years older than me. And I called him like when it happened. We were at the hospital.
What was her name?
Nala.
No.
Nala Aaliyah.
Thank you.
Aaliyah means Nala Aaliyah Brandon. Aaliyah, the way it was spelled, meant sunshine, because I wanted to name her Nala Sunshine. So, but I called him because he's like my older brother. He's my cousin, my first cousin, but he's like an older brother to me. He's like a spiritual leader to me. He like just knows everything, and he kind of saved me. That moment, it was like, I don't think if he didn't tell me what he told me at that moment, it was like I don't know which way I would have went. But he told me that, everyone's soul has a mission, and when your soul's mission is up, it's like you don't die, but you elevate just to another plane. And he was like, he's like the bad thing is we don't get to pick.
We don't get to choose.
We don't get to choose when someone's soul, when their mission is up. He said whatever she came here to accomplish, she accomplished, and her mission was up. And that gave me something to hold on to. It gave me something to be like, okay, this is what happened, because it didn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm here. It
doesn't. It's like it didn't make any sense, and so that gave me the strength to just keep myself together.
I can only allude. I mean, so I'm going to ask you another. But you lost your mother in 2022. I lost my mom in 2020, and that is something. It's the only thing I can relate it to. I never had a child, but that's the natural part of what we're supposed to lose our parents.
Right.
That's the correct circle of life. I hate it. I wish that never happened, but as a parent, you're not supposed to lose a child, and definitely not supposed to lose a 7-month-old. So, I mean, no children. Not that any age is okay, but that's just you didn't even get a chance here. How did you end up ever going? Because you're already a comedian when this happened.
Yeah.
How do you get back on stage?
Well, there was like a month later, because I didn't know if I was ever going to do comedy. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just like existing. I knew that folding wasn't an option. I just knew I had to find a way to keep moving forward, and but I knew that, like, and that's one, like my daughter, who's still living, she was like one of my main sources of strength, strength to keep going, because it's like, I'm her dad, and she, it's like I know she needs me as well. And so it's like I know I had to be there for her. So like probably but a month went by, and there was a friend of mine, Rob Stapleton, was getting married, and he had me, JB Smooth, I think Tony Rock, and one other comedian scheduled to perform at his wedding. And so when we get to the wedding, he like, yo, look, I know what you've been through. He like, look, if you don't want to perform, it's fine. But I was like, Nah, I'm gonna perform. You know what I mean? And it had been like a month since I've been on stage, and I hadn't given it any thought, but I was like, no, I'm gonna perform, and I'm so happy I did, because before that, it felt like I would always look at comedy like people come to comedy shows to laugh and escape their problems. So they plug into you, and you take them on that ride, and they forget their problems for that moment. But performing there that day, the first time those people laughed, it was like I got this feeling in me that it was like, no, we plug into each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like y'all don't just plug into me and and feed off of me to forget your place. It's like I plug into you guys too, and that's when I knew that I needed comedy. Like, so like I know I needed to be on stage. So.
Well, this is not gonna be funny now. Yeah, that's amazing.
When you lose a child, people really don't understand. Like, they don't understand. Like, and then there's nothing they can say to make anything better, and that's okay.
I think that people are very uncomfortable in loss. Mm-hmm. The loss of a parent, and again, I swear we're gonna get funny. Again, it'll be funny. No, I think it's different than a child, and again, I spoke about this. I have one of my episodes I talk about loss, and I say that the strange thing, I think, and not to minimize parenting, but I've never been me without them.
Right.
I never had a before,
mm-hmm. Right.
And I didn't expect the after.
Right.
And when that happens, and people, again, because it's the natural way things go, they go, oh, I heard about your mom. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of half second was that?
Right.
Like, the eclipse, when everything stopped, that's what should happen every time we talk about her. Right. It should be like, everything shuts off, the world should stop, we should all take one big cry.
Yeah.
So it's, people just think it's like, oh yeah, I heard about your mom, let's have a drink. It's like, we have to talk more about her. Don't you want to know her favorite color?
Right.
And I lost my dad first, and then my mom. So yeah, it's, but I just had to go back to Soho Grand and work. I remember going back to work though, unlike getting up and making people laugh, but again, you said something important, because you needed it.
Yeah.
I did not need to go give a fuck how late you were getting to check in. Like, there was nothing about me. I didn't get anything out of that. Right. I remember when I was F&B, I worked for food and beverage for years, and 9/11 happened. And I lived across the street. Don't ever live across the street from your job, because you can't ever escape. But they called me over. They're like, you gotta come over. And I'm like, y'all are looking at, like, you came here, like, this is my backyard. Like, Twin Towers are my fucking, those are my swing sets. Like, right. I'm staying home till I find out where everybody is. Long story short, I found out where everybody was, and then I went over to the hotel. And I remember thinking, I need to stay busy, I need to be serving people, because I do really enjoy taking care of people and, but when I lost my parents, like, I could get you your coffee and your soda and feel a little bit good about helping out when we were doing the 9/11 thing. But then when going back to work after, everything about me was different. Yeah. Everything I was different. I remember I said to somebody, you feel like I used to have roots, and now one of my roots were like I was just fucking floating around. I had like 1 foot, because my parents grounded me. Anyway, it's a tragic loss, and I'm really sorry, but. I love that you found a way of making it work in the only way, because you can't do, if it doesn't work, you'd have to stop, right? There was no stopping. You had to continue. Right. And you also a father and a son and a brother and an uncle who had to keep it moving. Mm-hmm. So, it says a lot about you, and I love that you have little pieces of her with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's my baby.
One thing that what I found out about with you when it comes to your comedy is that you you were just about to have done every state, is that correct? You did
Yeah, I'm like...
But you were down 6, what I heard.
Yeah, 6, I think.
You're still down 6?
Yeah, I haven't been I didn't...
This interview wasn't too long ago for me to...
Right, I didn't do any... There's like North and South Dakota. I want to say Wyoming, Hawaii.
You better get to Hawaii.
New Mexico.
These are all great places.
And there's one more, but
So you've been an underachiever since the interview where you said you haven't done 6. I would like this marked down. Lisa, put it on his calendar.
I just haven't tried to get to Wyoming or North or South Dakota. I just didn't.
Well, I'm highly disappointed in the question now because I was expecting a yes, I did it all. And I had balloons going to come out, confetti was going to pop.
On the next go around.
Yeah. By the next time you're back, you better have done all the 6. I'm going to be really disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
I fucked up my whole show now.
Oh,
the rest of the show is all about the other segment. I'm kidding.
Right.
Do you have a favorite city? Do you have like a favorite?
Amsterdam was cool. Okay. I went to Amsterdam. Like Amsterdam was always cool. And it was the first place I got to go like where prostitution is legal. You know
it sure
what I
is.
mean? And weed, like, and when I first went, weed.
They don't go together though. Who wants to get stoned and then have sex? It doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
They should be selling cocaine and then have sex.
That's
sorry,
like a much better mix.
I mean, it makes more sense.
Cocaine and prostitution.
Yeah,
they kind of go together. I think they come with, like, if you buy one, it kind of
one with the other. They probably have a pocket in their pants where they keep.
There you go.
Cocaine. And chaps. They're typically chaps though.
Right.
Asses out.
The skull and crossbones.
There you go, because they're not going to detect that when you walk through the metal detector. No, you got to see the pants to find this funny. But go ahead.
But they, that was cool. And then like when I went, it was like, I want to say like early 2000s. Like so, like weed wasn't legal anywhere in the United States. Mm-hmm. So at this time to go to Amsterdam, like and the weed, even the way the weed looked, like you only see that weed on like High Times magazines and stuff like that at the time. So to go over there,
it was the Naomi Campbell of weed.
Right.
Like, so pretty, so well rounded.
It was like a flower. You know what I mean? I was like, I wanted to bring it back, but I know I couldn't, so I had to smoke it.
You didn't have those pants.
Right, exactly. And it was, but it was Amsterdam was. I think that was like my first time out of the country. Well, first time I went to Germany.
For the troops, right?
Yeah.
You went to do the troops over 20 times.
Yeah, yeah.
Kelley did her homework.
And it was and that was a cool experience. But Amsterdam was like different than anywhere I'd been at the time. Like now it's kind of like you get weed like right downstairs.
Yeah.
And so it's like people probably don't appreciate that place, for weed like they used to. But I think I would say Amsterdam was my favorite city.
Another thing I know, because I did my goddamn homework, is you are writing a book. The Marshall Brandon story.
Yes. Is it turning finished? It's turning no, it's not finished, but it's turning into a show. I'm in the process of doing that now. Because I've been looking at getting back to creating, even because one thing I love to shoot and edit. I look at everything, it's like I want to make my name bigger. I want to make, I want to elevate, and that's one of the.
So
best
you're gonna do so you're gonna write it. Are you gonna star in it?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna.
And I'm gonna shoot it myself.
You're gonna direct it yourself.
Yes.
I love that.
I'm gonna get I got that particular project. Yes, I have other projects.
You're keeping the name, the Marshall Brandon story.
Yeah, and that's because it's gonna be about like. And so it's something that, like, once I shoot it, it's like I'll shop it and try to get it picked up by a platform.
When we do this on the show, can I be me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, hell yeah.
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 Because you have to put this on the show, because you do the interview.
Yeah,
it's not the real story without this moment.
No, it'll definitely be on.
Lisa, write that down.
Put it in your notes.
Put it in your notes. Make sure he gets it done.
Like, I could write it and then try to go get some people, but I got enough know-how to, like, and enough people around me to.
I mean, Mo and me, we have a friend that did that.
Oh yeah. Mo is like definitely somebody who like me and Mo have talked about, like, just when it comes time to talk about those things, that he's available for that.
That's super exciting.
Oh yeah.
All these stories are going to be. I mean, it's.
Yeah, everything.
What do you think? Are you thinking almost like What's Going On? Like, is it going to be like a dark comedy? Because you have a lot of stuff.
It covers. My fears and my insecurities, as well as, like, it's the good stuff and then it's the life stuff. So it's that with a couple of other ingredients. It's like the coolest show I've ever come up with, because I got 2 movies I wrote.
And you acted in a few things too. You got two TV shows.
Yeah, I acted in on Michael Che's show, on Flatbush Misdemeanors also. That was on Showtime, and in a couple commercials. I did a Nat Geo reenactment where they put an afro on me and everything, and I was playing.
Okay, that we have to find.
A hijacker. Yeah, it's called I Am Rebel. Right. I shot the pilot in that. The movies I wrote, one of them I'd rather just sell. The other one I want it to be created. I don't want to do it myself, because I want it to be done on a certain level. Marshall Brandon's story, I can do it on a good enough level to tell a story and make it entertaining for people to want to watch it. But it's gonna have a little bit of everything in it.
I'm stoked. I think that's a great idea. I thought it was a book, so I'm really happy.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't have to listen to audio because I don't read books.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna.
Someone else would be. It would not be fun for me. So thank you for doing that for me.
Oh
it
yeah.
makes my life easier.
It's gonna be something to watch.
I'm so glad you weren't a lawyer. That would have been so fucking boring. What in the world would that have looked like?
I think I would have won some cases though. I think I would have won some cases. That's what one of my professors told me. He told me, he said like, because we had like a mock trial and everything, and I won the case for my team. So.
Okay. Mock trials are always important.
I mean, I understand the law. You know what I mean? I understand.
It's so confusing. The law is so confusing. Like, if you do know it, it's confusing. There's too many things.
Yeah, now I'm like, whatever.
It's like the Wild fucking West right now.
Yeah, I'm not like, I don't concern myself with
Please don't.
lawyers' business anymore.
Let's stick to you making a bigger name and getting your name out there more, which is pulling me into what I was going to talk about, which is your merch. So you have a line of merch, which is merchandise. Which is T-shirts and jackets, which you're wearing now.
Yep.
Comedy is Love.
Comedy is Love.
Where did you? First of all, you can go on your website and purchase on your website.
MarshallBrandon.com, MarshallBrandonVibe.com. You can go on Instagram, Marshall Brandon Story.
Yes.
But it's right on my website.
Where'd you get the Comedy is Love though? Where did that come from?
It came from me relating myself to something that is very strong and never goes away, and like that lives forever. It's like I'm comedy and love. Love is like one of the most powerful things in the world to me. So it's like those two. It's like those are like two of the most important things in my life: comedy and love. So just put them together. Comedy
It's great.
is love. Yeah.
And it's great merch. Yeah, sure.
This is one of my shirts. This is like a one of a kind. Though. Like I just made this.
Oh, so just showing off to everybody a shirt that no one else can get.
Yeah, I might post it one day. That's me, Dave, and Donell with ski masks on.
Okay, perfect. That's fantastic.
But
show them the logo.
Oh, this is my logo here, MB.
That's his name,
Marshall Brandon Vibe. And if you look at it, it spells. There's a V in there, I, a B, and the E backwards. So it's like MB Vibe, Marshall Brandon Vibe.
It is.
Yeah.
I never saw the vibe before.
Yeah, and I wanted
I felt the vibe though.
There it is. I wanted it to look like an element, like from the periodic table too. So
stop being smart. Just be funny. Don't do that to me. Don't. Sad. We had tragic moments. We start doing all this smart shit. I'm gonna have to shut off the cameras. This part of the show is called Hot Flashes, right? When I throw quick questions at you and you have to answer the questions and be honest, because the buzzer goes off if you lie.
Okay.
I'm kidding. There's no buzzer. But anyway, as quick as you can.
All right,
okay.
I'm ready.
If you could work with any comic, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dave Chappelle.
Are you gonna really make me? I mean, this is like stop making me cry. That's a very good answer.
That's.
Okay, so if you could work with a dead comic, then we can.
Richard Pryor.
Okay, that's a very good job.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Best set you've ever seen.
Best set
Like,
I've ever
that
seen.
you
Best
remember.
comedy set.
Best comedy set. You don't have to do the whole thing, but what was the gist?
One set I always remember was Ellen DeGeneres, Women of the Night. It was her HBO debut. It was like back in the 80s. That's when I think about comedy when I was young, it was like, and understanding comedy. Because it was like 6 women on the show, but she was just so much better than all the rest of them. Like she stood out. I don't want to say she just stood out from all the rest of them. And I was like, wow, like it gave you a understanding of like you could understand comedy by looking at what she did there.
Do you have a favorite moment of your own set, being at a certain stage, doing one thing that stands out?
One show I did down in South Beach, Miami, a few years ago that was just like that. Like I was down there performing on this show that I was a part of, and the energy wasn't that crazy. I mean, the energy wasn't that great coming from certain people that were there, but like I had like a monster set, like I called it standing ovation. So it was like that. That was a show that would pop up like that.
Do you remember your first standing ovation?
No.
You don't remember it? Do you remember when you've bombed?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
One stand out more than another? Because even the best
I
comics
remember
bomb
it was
sometimes.
one time I went to Springfield and I went up on stage and the people didn't like boo me or anything. They just didn't make any noise.
It's the worst.
Like it was like they didn't make any noise. It was like I just performed to silence, And then I remember my friend, he came over the next day because he was like kind of trying to be my manager at the time. He was like, yo, let's watch the tape. And I was like, nah. And he was there. And I was like, no. And he was like, no, come on. That's how you got to watch the tape. I put the tape on like 15 seconds in. He was like, no, we don't.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Because what people don't know and I only know from being blessed to be friends with so many comedians, is that even a bad set, if the audience is saying anything, you got something to work off of. But silence.
Yeah, silence was like that one really, like, that one made me question whether I wanted to keep going on. That was early. Funny. It was early, but I was like, ooh, maybe this ain't, maybe this comedy thing ain't for me. I think I said that that night.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite pizza? Where?
Connecticut.
Connecticut?
Yeah, Connecticut has the best pizza in the country. Yes, I
have my producer shaking her head. Connecticut.
Agreeing.
I don't know this. This is the first time I've ever heard this answer.
When you're on 95, heading up 95, you see a sign when you get to Connecticut. Welcome to Connecticut, home of the country's best pizza.
That's a sign that lies, but
well, that's what we do in Connecticut. Like, New York is cool. New York is like New York. So everybody's like, oh, the Big Apple pizza. Yeah, we the pizza capital. No, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, you were, but like...
Connecticut pizza. So can I get a Connecticut slice at some point?
Yeah, I'll bring you some pizza down. Yeah, you'll really.
I've never had a Connecticut pizza.
Oh yeah, there's a really good place called Bar One Pizza in New Haven. And she could probably tell you, because New Haven, and I'm from Hartford, and I don't usually say other places in Connecticut got better stuff than Hartford, but New Haven is kind of like that's where the main pizza is.
All right. I'm definitely going to say no. Brooklyn and Manhattan. Brooklyn pizza is best, but whatever.
Brooklyn pizza is good. I like Not Ray's in Brooklyn.
I don't know Not Ray's. I love Locale. You know Locale? Mm-mm. We got to take it to Locale.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine owns a place. It's one of the best places on Henry Street in Brooklyn. You can't get a reservation. Small little spot. He opened it himself. He's on all the kinds of pizza shows, but Mark from Locale, great pizza. It's like anyone who goes there, it's their favorite. But Connecticut, whatever. Fuck, marry, kill. Uber, taxi, train.
Okay, I would kill the taxi.
Ooh.
I would fuck the train and marry the Uber, I guess.
Okay, I think I would marry the Uber too.
Yeah.
And then I'm lost in the other two. Okay, because he's always around and it's easy to get and you have him on your phone, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about them. So that's how I feel about it. Okay.
It's a way better mode of transportation.
Do you take the train?
I have. I lived in New York when I lived here 12 years. I didn't learn how to ride a train until 8 years into, and there were times where I got on the train, but I didn't learn how to ride a train until my car went down 8 years in, and I have a car for a while, and so I had to go and ride a train. That it was not my favorite thing to do.
It's the absolute worst part of I've done it. I don't know if you learned how to ride a train here. I love the way you worded it. But okay, so I ask constantly whenever I need to go anywhere. I ask her. I can't say her name because she'll start talking. But the computer I have in the house that talks back to you, I always ask her. And I do it very infrequently. And down here, I have to say, because I'm a FIDI, I have it's like, I guess it's the start of it. So it's like feels real clean until you get on it.
Right.
And then everyone else gets on it, and then who's not fucking barking, and someone else is fighting, and who's stinky, and I'm not about it. So I would probably, I would kill the train, and I would, I'd marry Uber, I'd kill the train.
And fuck the taxi.
I would fuck the taxi. Well, you've got a ton of shit coming up and a lot of really exciting things happening. Still lots of comedy coming up, writing, directing. It was new to me, the Marshall Brandon story, the merch. What are you most excited about and what's happening for you next?
Everything, really. I love where my comedy career is heading. I love what's happening with it. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to creating more. I'm looking forward to what my next set's gonna be, my next set of jokes and stuff like that. I'm definitely looking forward to getting into filming my stuff. That's really exciting to me. But as much as I love all of that stuff, comedy, I really love my stand-up. But everything. But I'm excited about seeing what happens next.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you going your way to show up, and I know you have a lot going on, so I can't tell you how much it means. And I wanted to get to know you better, and I feel like I did, and I hope the audience does. And look for his comedy, buy his merch, wait for the show. I'm crying. See. No, but really, it's been amazing having you, and I'm super excited that you're here.
It was a pleasure being on.
Thank you guys for showing up again. Please stay tuned. I'll be back next week, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in again. It's Marshall Brandon.
Make sure.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys tune into the show. Subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button. You know what I mean? So you can be notified when the greatness comes. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
Me, Kelley. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. As I cry my way off the. Thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for showing up for another episode of Still Can't Cook. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube or any other podcast provider. And if you're on Instagram or TikTok, please follow us at Still Can't Cook. Love to have you guys back every week. So happy that you joined us and look forward to seeing you next week.